Hey guys, this is Advocating World Government. So, just again, I have I have a podcast, a website. I'm on YouTube. I have a World Government Manifesto 1 and a World Government Manifesto 2, and I recently released a book called the called An Alternate History of Trotsky Beat Stalin. So I have that. And so for this video, I know I've talked about diversity, but for this video, I want to talk about conformity and how, while many of us think us as individuals, and we've now in an individualized society, which of course you know my views on that, but technically collectivism and conformity is actually in our very nature. If you look at tribes are individual, they're all collective, and they're all and they all use conformity. And conformity has been a key part of governments and society since humans first were born. Even in animal kingdoms, there's conformity and hierarchy and things like that. And I think as I think I've said this before, but I was a psychology student. I transferred to global political studies. But what we learn about in psychology a lot is conformity and how people are. Now, there, of course, as always, there are people who are different, there are variants, but most people conform. Like, I don't know, it's this, some people use this example. If everyone's facing backwards on an elevator, when you normally face front, you're facing the front, but then everyone else faces the back, so you feel this pressure to face the back, and whenever someone else is doing something, you feel the need to do it. And it's the same thing when somebody does something different, you feel weird, like you feel like icky. What are they doing? And it's not until people come and they get into it, then you're like, okay, I can do that. It feels safer now. It feels right. And generally, like, I don't know, you can watch there's these funny videos on YouTube about conformity. Like, we watch them in our psychology classes. Just what people will do when they see other people doing it. It's just part of it. And even it's this one where whenever the ding, you stood up and then you sat back down. And this lady, she was left by her. So essentially, it was this guy who first started doing it, and then she started doing it, and then she kept on doing it when he left, and other people started doing it, and so on and so on. Like, it didn't stop. People just kept on doing it. And I think that's also very interesting. So I think we generally get confused by our individualistic capitalist society, which tells us not to conform, to be different, to be unique. Of course, we are unique, but we have more similarities than differences. And I think that's why we're actually fighting against our true nature, and we're going against our true selves by not doing conformity. And it's why if you look at my ideas, go through all my blog posts, go through all my videos, maybe even get my books, you will see that I always value conformity and everyone being similar, because that's when we feel most safe. It's why, even though I live in Canada, we're a very multicultural, diverse society. But if you look around and you see people hanging around in friend groups or whatever, you will generally see people hanging out with their own skin colors, or let's say you're an immigrant from India, you're likely to hang out with immigrants from India also. We like being what's similar. Yeah, sometimes we like a taste of different. Who doesn't? But we feel more comfortable being in similarity. And that's why in world I try and think about using artificial rooms and genetic editing to make us all look very similar. We'd all have clothing that is essentially the same. Now, it might be different as I said, I have the circles. You might have different clothing depending where you are, kind of like a Star Trek thing, so people know where you are. People love Star Trek, but generally, you wear things, and people love the military. The military is all about conformity, and it's also about destroying. Like, it's why people really struggle after the military, because it's about destroying your individuality and making you a cog in the machine. Now, I don't want that. I don't want a militarized society. I want a society that is based on free expression and free thoughts. Like, I want an artistic philosophy, like science. I want us to be doing meaningful things, not being a cog in the machine. That's why now in a capitalist society we hate machines, we hate AI because it's taking away our jobs. But in the society that I envision, in socialism or communism, or my variation, is that people then like it because it gets them away from doing mundane jobs and makes their life easier so they can focus on higher pursuits. They can focus on the meaning of life. They can focus on how to make the world a better place. And I think that's what we miss out on. And yes, again, I will say it again. The best utopia, I'll leave you with this parting words. The best utopia, the closest thing to utopia we will ever have, is a dystopia.